good people. I'm your host, LaKesha Lorene, founder and CEO of Loving Life Productions LLC, and welcome to our second episode of the In the Room with Loving Life podcast. This show was created with the artist in mind, and we promote, produce, and create all things entertainment with purpose. So we have some really dope artists who are working professionals in the entertainment industry here to talk to you about their journey, their projects, and how you can be inspired by what they do to love life and walk in purpose on purpose. I am so excited. We have a friend to the show, Miss LaCora Stevens. Woo! Hey, LaCora. Hey, so LaCora Stevens is what I like to call a really talented multi-hyphenate. So she does multiple things and she does all of them at such a high level. It's like, how do you do all that stuff? So she is, number one, host and TV, internet, radio personality of The Yes Show, which you need to go right now on YouTube, and you're already on YouTube. So after you watch this video, go search The Yes Show, hit the subscribe button, and check out all of the awesome interviews that she's done with entertainers that are people of faith and people just that work in the entertainment industry on some of your favorite shows, favorite movie artists, music artists. She's probably talked to everybody that you like. So take a look at The Yes Show. She is also an actress. She has a series that's also on YouTube that you can check out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And she's also a filmmaker and executive producer. So we have so much to talk about today. Yes. I'm so excited to get into it. But before we jump in, we actually, you and I first met for an interview for The Yes Show, promoting film. So tell us a little bit about The Yes Show, what its mission is, and how you started it.
LaKesha Lorene. Let me tell you something. The crazy thing is that a lot of people that I meet for interviews and things like that, we become acquainted and friends, you know, so it's so cool. You are so down to earth. I love what you're doing. You are such a beautiful woman. I mean, just gorgeous. So thank you for what you're doing. But The Yes Show actually started years ago when I received a speeding ticket. I did not have the money to pay it, so I opted for community service. While I was doing community service at this nonprofit, there was a poster on the wall, and I was like, do you want to produce your own show? I was like, yeah, I do. And that's actually how The Yes Show was started. So I was thinking, like, what kind of show do I do? But I always struggled as a theater major. I went to Florida A&M University, and I wasn't sure, like, with the talent and the gift, like, does it have to be for God? Does everything I write, everything I act, everything I sing, act in, like, does it have to be Christian? You know, does it have to have this redeeming factor? And that's, I went to a church, they talked about stewardship, LaKesha, and they were like, stewardship is not just for money, but it's also with your time and your talent. And I was like, say what now? Keep talking. And so I was like, this is good. So it helped me to understand that for me, my vertical relationship with God, that your talent should be executed in a way to reflect God. Doesn't mean that everything you do needs to be church, Jesus. No. But should that character have a redeeming factor? Am I going to play a prostitute just to be a prostitute and curse like a sailor? Am I going to be Holly Berry in Monsters Ball? No. But if there is a redeeming factor, you know what I mean? Like, if there is something where someone could watch this and say, dang, this is me. I need to turn my life around. You know what I mean? Then that helped me understand. So with The Yes Show, I was like, okay, we have music programs with gospel music. And it seems like every Christian program is either a pastor at a pulpit talking to you or something with a gospel singer. And I was like, I like to talk to people. I want to know their journey, their road. And no one is checking for Christian artists, gospel directors, filmmakers like LaKesha Lorene, poets, you know, that are Christian, writers of books that are Christian. They don't really check for them. So I said, well, why not have a platform the Yes Show, Young, Entertaining, and Saved, where people are actually using their gift to glorify God. So before they become all big, like Tyler Perry and all this
Yes.
stuff, even though I've interviewed him, hey Tyler, what's up? Let's have a meeting. You, LaKesha Lorene, and LaCora Stevens. Okay, boo. So I feel like, well, let's talk to them, because Tyler Perry, no one was checking for him at one point, but he was doing some great things with the word of God. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now everyone wants to check for him. So that's what the Yes Show is. It's a talk show where we highlight Christians in the entertainment business using their gift to glorify God. I love what I do. I've had a chance to meet beautiful people, wonderful people, great people of God, some not so great. A lot of these superstars that y'all love, they are not nice people, but some are real down to earth, So that's what I do.
And I love the premise of your show. I found, and you need to follow them. We'll have the tags up at the top for everybody to follow. You can follow at the Yes Show on Instagram. You can follow LaCora. I believe your tag is at LaCora Stevens on Instagram also, and searchable on Facebook. But I found you on Instagram. And immediately when I looked, I said, oh, this is so cool. I was seeing, like you said, all of these very accomplished artists, at the top of their careers in entertainment, in Christian entertainment, people that I love to see. So that I just started watching that, honestly. I started watching your interviews and I was like, she is really fun. So, how, speaking to the aspiring artist who wants to be a television personality or wants to have their own show, what do you think prepared you for that? And how did you go about kind of creating your own niche and, reaching out to these really prominent professionals in the industry?
Oh, well, what prepared me? Well, God put something in me called boldness. Because let me tell you something. The reason what prepared me is boldness. I'm not afraid to ask, because God tells us to ask, seek, knock. I was watching a young lady on YouTube. She was interviewing Tyler Perry, and I was like, well, how was she able to interview Tyler? What's so special about her? So not she was great, but I'm just saying, but understand, for the people that are watching, if you have something inside of you and you don't know how to do it, you find somebody that is doing what you want to do and you start researching these jokers. That's all you have to do. And this isn't a dig at her, like she wasn't special, but there was nothing about her that was different than me. She was cool, she was cute, she had swag, she had great communication skills. And I'm like, well, shoot, I got that. Now let me research this girl and find out what she's doing. So what prepared me is looking, asking, researching. And when I found out who she worked for, I was like, oh, okay, she works for Mr. Belly. Let me go ahead and research him. And I asked him, I said, hey, are you looking for any hosts? And he was like, well, maybe. He has this very deep voice. He's been in Hollywood forever, which we have to give praises and honor to our older people that have paved the way for us. I appreciate him, because this man, Mr. Lee Bailey, he was like the first person to play Prince When Doves Cry, or I forgot which Prince song, but he was like the first to play it on the radio. He's like been in the business for years, and a lot of young people don't know him when I'm on the carpets, but always the older people, execs, they know who he is. He gave me an opportunity to MC at a Quincy Jones event. Like, I was the MC. They paid me. I was like, oh my God, Jesus. Like me? Y'all want me? So what prepared me, going back to your question, I had boldness. I had the nerve to research, to act, to put works in it, to see, what do I want to do? Okay, this is what I want to do. Let me see what she's been doing. Who does she work for? What does her resume look like? I found out who was on that resume. I called that person with boldness and confidence, and I said, I want to work for you. He was like, well, do you have experience? No, sir, not with celebrities, but with my talk show. Well, let's see your talk show. He was like, well, you don't have any celebrities. How do I know you're not going to, he said, it seems like you have this it factor, but I don't know how you're going to be if you meet Angela Bassett. What will you do? Or are you going to, I said, these people don't put money in my pocket. He was
Right.
like, okay, well, I'll test you out for one red carpet. My first red carpet was Stevie Wonder's birthday party. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. But it was so exciting. I fanned out with Kelly Price because she was singing in the microphone and she just sounds so good. But I did a good job. My audio was garbage. He fussed at me. I got a little sad, but I was so like tenacious. I was like, I want him to like it. I want him to like me so that I could get this as a full-time gig. And I did, LaKesha. So that's what prepared me. Boldness and works. Like I literally looked up the person. I did my work and I wasn't afraid to sit back and say, I got this. Girl, just ask them. The ask. There has to be an ask. You have to go out for it. So that is what prepared me. The second part of your question, I've been talking so much, I kind of forgot what that was.
You kind of touched on it.
Okay.
You know, being able, you know, you were connected with Lee, Mr. Lee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to see something in you because number one, you saw it in yourself. So don't ignore what you see in yourself or what are your natural gifts and talents. Don't feel like you have to make them small to think of yourself as a better person. There's absolutely nothing wrong with believing in yourself. The word does tell us to walk confidently and boldly in the spirit of Christ. So there's nothing wrong with being confident. What's wrong is what LaCora mentioned a little earlier, is thinking that these accomplishments or the things that you do make you who you are. They don't. So I think what you said is so important is perspective. You know, you had the right perspective. You had the right intention. You wanted a job at base, okay? And you wanted a job you enjoyed. And you just so happened to enjoy Christian entertainment. So boom, you know what I mean? So you sought, you knocked, and you asked, and you had the boldness, enough boldness and confidence in yourself to go out there and get it. So, you know, for those of you who are interested in that side of entertainment, because that would be such a fun job. Like, you know, you and me, we grew up on TRL, right?
Yes.
La Carson Daly.
Yes, Carson Daly.
Big. So, you know, fun. You know, so if you like to talk to people, being a host just may be your thing. So I think your story is really interesting and it's really, really cool. But yeah, so that you actually answered both parts of that. So when the Yes Show started to take off, you're getting, you know, these major interviews with these huge stars, and we'll fast forward to today, right? Mm-hmm. So Joseph Sikora, Fans of Power, right? Tommy.
Yeah. Yes, Tommy. Oh my gosh.
Tommy Egan. Oh my goodness.
I love Tommy.
And number one, Joseph is such a phenomenal actor. I saw him in another show and I had no idea who he was at all. And to me, as an artist myself, that's the goal for on-screen characters, for you not to see LaKesha, for you to see whomever I'm trying to embody in. You know, Joseph, I don't know where you are right now. If you happen to see the show, man, teach a masterclass. What you're doing is amazing. I feel like you're on track to be the next Jeffrey Wright of our generation. I absolutely love Jeffrey Wright.
LaKesha, I had him when you talked about the goal is to not be yourself. Jeffrey Wright's name came in my head, and I was like, because Jeffrey Wright has the ability to transform, to be in a shadow, and you're just like, and he's so underrated. Some people don't even know who he is. This brother is like gold. You know what I mean? So yeah, Joseph Sikora the same, and his last name rhymes with LaCora. So I like Mr. Sikora.
Oh yes, I mean that is the goal. So I mean, and what you do, the goal for hosts is to make people feel comfortable. So, tell us about a fun moment about like your Stevie Wonder interview, but even, coming up even closer to closer years, like within the last year, last 2 years, I did see that you were able to get an interview with the actors from the Clark Sisters movie on Lifetime.
I
And
did.
that movie was phenomenal. Shout out to K. Rue Entertainment, Kiki and Jay Drew. Y'all did it. That was so good. Dr. Holly Carter.
Yes.
Everybody, Queen Latifah, everybody who's a part of it.
Yes.
It was just amazing. Tell us about what that was like, and maybe a little bit of what you can share about how you booked that.
Okay, all right. So I always have fun moments. So like one of the fun moments that I had, like my mom tells me, even though I make people very comfortable on the carpet.
Yeah.
I remember I did a Nickelodeon carpet, and this NBA player, I do not know a lot about basketball or football. I don't know his name. My sister knew who he was, but he was like, "Ooh, I like you. You make me feel like home." And that made me feel so good, because I don't get on the carpet with this is LaCora Stevens, and we're at the Nickel. Like, no, child, I don't want to do that journalist voice. I want to be me. And when I see my people, I get excited. So when I did the Clark sisters, the first ladies of gospel, Kiara, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your dress." Oh no, or did she like my ponytail? I think she liked my ponytail. And I was like, "Child, you like this ponytail?" And I was whipping it. She was like, "Whip it, girl, whip it." So, I was whipping my ponytail like Tina Turner. It was so funny. And I wish that my camera person had turned it on to record these little fun moments. But they, people, so my camera person, sometimes when you do what you have to do,
right,
they don't let you know far in advance, LaKesha Lorene. So a lot of times when you ask, like, well, how did you get that gig to, interview this cast, interview Dr. Holly Carter, because I've been on the red carpet. So a lot of times how this works is, I have my show, the Yes Show. And then I also do red carpets for EUR Web, Lee Bailey. When I stopped working for Lee Bailey, because I was a good host on the red carpet, a lot of the PR, the public relations, would say, "Hey, we like you. What's your contact information?" I would give them my contact information. If they had an event going on, like the First Ladies of Gospel or anything like that, they have me in a Rolodex. Wait, do we still have Rolodex? I don't even know. But I just dated myself, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. But they'll give me a call and they'll say, "Hey, are you available to interview our clients?" And it is short notice. So a lot of times you don't have time to like get the crew or get the camera person that you have. And sometimes you just have to work with what you have with the time that you got. So they were so cool. They were so nice. We were running out of time. And Dr. Holly Carter, she was like, "Oh, we can't do any more interviews." I was like, "Dr. Holly Carter, now look at him." I said, "No, we're going to have to do an interview now." I was like, "We're going to do this in 2 minutes, okay?"
Right.
So like, we're going to have to make it work. So I did it. They were so cool. And she just was like, "Such a great job. You just, thank you so much for your energy." You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, LaKesha Lorene, I am a Black female reporter. And a lot of times, even at our own events, like the NAACP or BET, a lot of Black journalists are put in the very back of the red carpet. Yes, we are put in the back. Even events like that with the Clark sisters, they had like News with white folks talking about the First Lady of the Gospel. Like, they got VP set up, lights and everything. I didn't have that. So I had to make it work. People complaining about, "Oh, well, why the footage look like this?" Y'all don't know the struggle, okay? Like, it's a lot.
I thought it looked good.
Thank you.
I thought it looked good. I mean, I could see everyone, right?
Thank
it was a traditional panel setup.
Yes.
The sound was good. You had mics, you had lighting. And I think, was there a crowd?
There was crowd. Yep.
Right?
So,
it was good. It looked like a standard, like we were the fly on the wall at, the press conference they were doing. So
I appreciate that. Yeah. So a lot of times it could be hard. So like, they had like white journalists, which I'm sure white journalists know who they are, but they probably don't know the in and outs. You know what I mean? They don't really know. And so that's the unfortunate part. Nevertheless, it's still beautiful when you meet these people, and they're really, really cool. I've interviewed Kiara Sheard a few times. She's always been really nice, really down to earth.
So down to
And
earth.
yeah, so it was just a great experience. Anytime, like I've had certain things, I messed up people's name on the carpet. I've messed up. I've had stuff where I'm trying to fix people's clothes and they're like, oh, but I wanted my bra to show. I'm like, oh, girl, I'm so sorry. Let me put that back. I'm like trying to cover them up. And she's like, but I wanted it. I was like, oh, well, let me put that back. I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? So I've had so many situations on the red carpet. And it's just, but the beautiful thing about it is like speaking to Black women and just understanding their journey on the carpet in the entertainment business and how they are still standing, like Taraji P. Henson, Yvette Nicole Brown, Angela Bassett. These are women that I've interviewed, and it's just so nice to pick their brain. Like I literally am blessed to do what I do, to talk to these great people. And not just them, because yes, they're celebrities, but even people like yourself, LaKesha, you're a big fish in a small pond in Indiana. You know what I mean? Like you are something special. What you're doing is special. Your film just received a great best feature film. That is a mega award. You know what I mean? So not only do I speak to these celebrities that everyone puts on this high pedestal, and I see the greatness in them, and I see their journey and their walk with Christ and what they're doing to glorify God, because you could bash them all you want because of their roles, but you really don't know their relationship. Like Taraji P. Henson, she's always giving glory. Like, I'm like, okay, sis, I didn't know. And she was like, and everybody don't need to know. I was like, touche. Okay. But then I also have other people like LaKesha Lorene, or like there's a Christian animator named Horace. He has a Christian cartoon and it's a Black character called Dex. And it's for little kids, for Christian, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing how wonderful you are. I talk to different bands and fashion designers, and I'm just like, this is just great. So I love what I do. I love talking to people, understanding their path to getting their yes, hence the Yes Show. Yes. So it's great. I love it. I do.
No, and I mean, you said it all, and I think the biggest thing, I think for what I'm getting in my spirit for takeaway is the inner work, right? So these are people, even LaCora yourself, your inner work has been done at home, in your environment, through your mindset. So you're able to bring so much joy and so much great energy to people and bring out the best in them when they're trying to promote whatever they're trying to promote that they need to get out. So you draw people in by who you are. And that's why, obviously this is a God-given gift for you and a God-given gift from you to other people when you're interviewing them, because you're giving, you can see that you've done that inner work. So I think as a caveat to kind of add on to those artists who are looking to do even half of the things that you've done and that you're doing, do the inner work. She didn't see that young lady and say, oh my goodness, I'm so mad. Why is she like, she didn't get angry.
Right.
She didn't get jealous. She didn't go on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and say, well, they just letting anybody in front of the camera nowadays. No. She took that and she became inspired. And then she did the inner work to say, oh, she affirmed herself, right? To say,
come on.
Wow, I think I would really like to do this. And then she did the work. So I think your story is really cool, because it really, by happenstance from those on the outside looking in, it would look like you stumbled upon it. But I think God just works in mysterious ways. And, the Holy Spirit spoke through whatever you looked at to draw you to that girl's video, and then to pull you back to what you were meant to do, because it's obvious that you were meant to do this. So
thank you,
yeah, I think that's just such a cool story. And like I said, when you guys go subscribe to the Yes Show, you'll get to see all the fun interviews that she's done, with all of these talented people. And the Clark sisters, oh my goodness, the Clark sisters movie, I just see so many great things for them moving forward.
Yes.
I mean, it was just phenomenal. So I'm a
It
huge
was.
Clark Sisters fan. So I was really excited about that. I want to talk about, since you don't only interview traditional known Christian artists, you interview everyone from entertainment on red carpets.
Yes.
Speak a little bit about influencing the culture, because Loving Life Productions LLC, we're all about entertainment with purpose, right? And I am also personally a firm believer that you can live your life for Christ without saying anything. It's evidence in how you treat people. It's evidence in how you interact with people. It's evidence in just your overall countenance. So talk about influencing culture and kind of what you're seeing and what you're excited about when it comes to millennials like ourselves and like so many others out there who are saying, okay, I love God, but I'm also, you know, into this, and I can influence culture by being just who I am outside of the four walls, because the four walls are just a building, right? And I can represent wherever I am, however I do it.
Influencing the culture has been a phenomenon with social media, with
Yeah.
digital streaming, art. Again, I was a theater major,
Yeah.
and I feel that art can change lives. I know people say, oh, well, we're not out here, you know, like doing brain surgery, but technically, I mean, if we take a look at it,
Yeah.
take a look at it.
Yeah.
Figuratively, we are, because media, art, entertainment, film, TV, what you do, what I do,
Yeah.
it shapes the ideologies, the generalizations, the stereotypes, the superiority or inferiority complexes that people have. We are doing some brain surgery. So the culture influence is heavily rooted in art, via social media, via digital streaming. And I think that it is a powerful tool. Even women that are doing makeup on YouTube or hair,
Yeah.
and they talk from the music that they use to the light that they genuinely have within, all via digital streaming. Like, it influences so many people. They're just like, oh, well, she's not cursing, she ain't twerking, and she's just talking about God. She talking about how she went to Bible study while she's showing us how to do her twist out. It's like, you could do so much for the influence for the culture, especially right now, because 2020 has been a year of social awareness, police brutality, Black injustice that we face, that we've been knowing about for centuries, but everybody's like, what?
There were slaves?
There were slaves? You guys are being killed like this? Yes, and I think seeing the brutal murder of George Floyd, 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah.
It was different, because, like Oprah said, no one could now say that they haven't seen that it happens slowly, calmly, covert, and it happened. So, and even with that, the young lady who shot it, the teenage girl, there was an article published saying that, forget Steven Spielberg and all these other big filmmakers, she's the filmmaker of the year, because she's found, or she caught this moment that's going to be a part of history forever on film. You know, so film culture, it has the ability to shift your ideology. There could be a paradigm shift that happens with the art. So it's imperative that if you feel like you're not a brain surgeon, you know, you're not an educator, you're not a lawyer, it's okay. Like, you could be part of the arts movement to help influence people in the culture. Like, there are current grants right now. I think Black Lives Matter, they have raised so much money that they are even giving that money back to people and entities via art and culture. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of art opportunities to help people shift the culture, because right now within the culture, there are micro cultures, you know, that happen. And it's just like, okay, how can we shift this in the right direction? because some of it is we in the wrong part. We need to get y'all back, to focus. So it's imperative, whether it's through beauty and fashion, whether it's through film and television, through song and dance, create after school programs. My friend, she's using art and culture to teach kids. The words of Beyonce from Black is King to Kendrick Lamar. Is that his name, Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, Kendrick. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Things like look, Chad. I don't know all the. I know the old school rappers like Tupac and Biggie. Okay.
Oh, there's another rapper, D Smoke. He was on Rhythm. Was it Rhythm and Flow on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
Show with Chance the Rapper, T.I., and Cardi B.
Oh.
It's a reality show for rappers. And D Smoke, I think he's based out of Inglewood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's over here.
Look him up, LaCora, interview him, please. Like he is a very conscious artist. He's an amazing musician. He raps, he plays. He's just a great artist. He's another person I think is shifting the culture, specifically hip hop culture, with the type of music that he's coming out with. And I'm a huge fan of him right now.
I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, he's huge. But yeah, I think it's important. It can't be ignored anymore. And especially for the people of faith and the body of people who do identify themselves as people of faith. It's so important. If 2020 hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us to be ready for anything.
Yeah.
And that the things in this world are temporary.
Yes.
Lives are being lost at the drop of a dime from this, invisible killer which is COVID.
Yeah.
Jobs are being lost. Some people are blessed to stay afloat and flourishing even through famine. It just teaches you not to have your hope rooted in these temporary things. And also, as I was saying before earlier, for people of faith, it teaches you we have to come together and really start to live out these words and these things that we proclaim that we believe. And it can't be based on our own prejudices. It can't be based on our own ideas of what we think the word says. It has to be based on what is actually written in that thing that we say we follow, which is the Bible.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about, I've been seeing you've been doing some great work on the front lines out because you're based in California, in LA. So, I've been seeing you've been doing lives, Facebook lives, talking to people heavily involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. Tell us a little bit about that and what organizations, if people are specifically based in the LA area that are watching, what can they do to be a part of what's going on?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, honey, because I'm not part of Black Lives Matter, of their organization. 4 years ago, it was my first experience with BLM. And it's so crazy because for some reason, people are starting to watch it and respond to it even more.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's been a topic of discussion in the pulpit. A lot of churches are saying that beware of Black Lives Matter. It's in the Bible. I'm like, where, brother? Where, pastor? Where is it in the Bible? And this has been a popular word to say that Black Lives Matter, that they're terrorists and things like that.
Right.
Now remember, the catalyst was Trayvon Martin.
Yes.
2012, they created the organization. 2013.
Right.
And they were focused on making sure that justice is served. And they've had some traction. They have done some things. So I cannot talk about what they are not doing, because what they set out to do, they are doing. Okay. So it boggles my mind that this is now a topic of discussion at the pulpit, So people have been leaving comments under that video that I left 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I experienced that moment, and I'm so happy that I did document it, because even when I watched it back, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this like yesterday. It felt so good, LaKesha. I'm a proud Black woman. I graduated from a historically Black college and university, Florida A&M University. I love my people. There's nothing like my people. and I weep. I am sad. I talk to God. I question God about the state of who we are and where we are and why we are, you know? So when I went to this meeting years ago, it was exciting because it was only supposed to be 200 people that could fit in the building, but it was like thousands of people. Instead of 200, they had like 2,000 people. Wow. And so I couldn't even like be like a fly on the wall to try to become a member. I guess I could now, but so much is happening in my world that I just partake in the marches, that I give my take on Sundays. Most of the time I'll delete it right after Sunday because some Christians do not believe in my view, especially if I feel like, no, there is a time where you take a stand. But a lot of Christians, to me, there's been a taming of the pew. Yeah. Where pastors just want us to be quiet, shut our mouths, and just pray. We cannot do that because it clearly tells us in the word that God is a God of justice and love. We cannot just talk about love and forget about justice. And for the Christians that are so quiet in this temple of God, saying absolutely nothing about what is happening to the lives of Black brothers and sisters, they're Christian brothers and sisters, and they do absolutely nothing, that bothers me, LaKesha. It really does. So I get on my lives and I talk about it, and a lot of Christians, they're like, oh, no protesting, don't do that. Just pray. We shouldn't be out there. All lives matter. I'm like, child, well, let's talk about it. Have a person make me understand where this is coming from, because I am really open to hear a discussion. So that's why during the Juneteenth, I had a panel of people to talk about economic growth, firearms and safety, as well as the church and the civil rights movement, dare I say the 21st century civil rights movement. But we as Christians have to have a voice. How ironic is it that Martin Luther King seems to be the face of civil rights movement, right? Who was a Christian pastor. But then a lot of churches just kind of want to be quiet until it's popular. Now that it's okay and safe and popular to say Black Lives Matter, they are now saying Black Lives Matter. But now that it's been a rumor put amongst the church to say, oh, no, it's actually a terrorist group. Oh, saints, let me tell you, it's a terrorist group. Now, because that's becoming popular, that's what they do. And I'm like, Christians, we have to wake up. You know what I mean? Like, let's read our word, because God, child, if you look at the Old Testament alone.
Man, if you actually read it, and that's the thing, and not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I teach the people about it. When you actually do read the word of God, and this is specifically for my millennial watchers, you can't take hearsay, right? And say, if people tell you, people can misuse anything. I can take this leaf and pull it off of this little fake plant that I have here and misuse it. But that doesn't negate the original purpose of it. So yes, slave owners misused the word back in the day to keep our people in captivity. But no, the Bible was not rooted in European history. People created images of Christ that reflected who they were and who they wanted to see and whatever they happened to look like. And it just so happened that the first place in the First Testament, first few books, it talks about the rivers and wherever they were, right? I don't know exactly all the places, but they were in Africa, bottom line. They were in Africa. So this is not a book that was from the white man or a European book. If you actually read it, research it, and do your research in that way and take the time to actually study and read it, you'll see that it was rooted, the Bible times and where they were at was rooted in Africa. And then all the way in the New Testament was when they started to preach the gospel and spread the gospel out in other nations, which happened to be Europe. But it was not based there. It was not based off of there. Like, there are 12 different tribes. And I actually got these teachings. Shout out to my pastor, Jeffrey Johnson Sr. of Eastern Star, who actually taught on this 12 different tribes, right? That all of the peoples from the world came from. One of those was kind of European descendants. The others, more African descendants, like myself and LaCora, and maybe possibly even you, Middle Eastern, so on and so forth, South Asian. So let's kind of dispel that. And then
We've
Number
been
two,
trying. It's hard to dispel. Go ahead.
oh my goodness, oh my goodness. It's like
Like
misinformation.
embedded. It's embedded.
It
It's
is. It is. And it's like all you have to do, it takes nowadays research is just a couple of
that's it.
Google. Where's this river? Just look on the first page of Genesis, find a word that you don't know what it is,
Yeah.
and Google it. And when you Google it, you'll see where it was based, and you'll see it just so happened to be in Africa. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. But moving on to the social justice and why that is so important, and misusing the image of Christ and the words of Christ to be anti-social justice people.
Yes.
Jesus was one of he said, I came to put mothers against daughters, fathers against sons. Look that, I'll have to pull that up here and look that up. Christ was one of the most controversial figures ever in the world. When he walked the earth in man form, he was not liked. What he said was not accepted by the majority. He was a rebel. He was a political rebel. And the Bible does talk a lot about, at base, standing up for what is right, standing up for those voices who have been hurt and misused and mistreated by the popular. So we really have to stop taking one or two things about someone. Oh, the leader of this movement, I don't like her hair, it's nappy. That's witchcraft.
Yes.
Whatever's going on in their personal life out of the equation, because the actual work that they're doing, trying to bring justice to people who have been underserved, underprivileged in this country, that is the work of the Lord. So think about the basis. Take your own basis, take your own bias out of it. Take whatever secret offenses you had that make you feel like a better person. Take that out, okay? Because that's not really godly anyway.
And ask God to take it out of you, to purge that out of you.
You have to, and that's such a major problem amongst people of faith, picking and choosing what we are going to vilify the most. When you actually take the time to read the word, they are cataloged in an equal list amongst the other. One is not better than the other, right? So that we could talk about this for days.
I know. I love what you're saying, because listen, when I remember Sony did a film called Heaven is for Real.
Yes, that was Devon Franklin, I think, right?
Devon Franklin, T.D. Jakes, they flew me out to Canada. And Chad, I ain't like the fact that the family's hotel room was next to my room, because I ain't trust them like that, okay? And I was like, when, you see the image, like, because they have an image, and they say that if you don't know the story, they say that their son passed away on the operating table at the hospital, and that he went to heaven and he saw all these things. Now, the situation at hand that I took problem with is that they had this image of God. He said that he saw Jesus. And they had this young lady, some little gifted girl, I think from Russia, somewhere, I don't know, somewhere out the country, who drew this image of Jesus. Now, blonde hair, green eyes, something like that. So me being the Black journalist that I am, I said, a question for Pastor Jakes, I'm just trying to understand for our readers, because we have Black readers, don't you feel like creating or allowing this image is going to create some superiority or inferiority? I was like, we're blatantly putting an image of Jesus and saying it to be true. And he was very politically correct. I like Bishop T.D. Jakes, I really do. He was like, well, you know what, sister, that's a great question. He said, my job as a producer. So he had his producer's hat on, and he was like, is to tell his story. If this is what he said, and I was like, I could take that. But a lot of people were like, what is this image here? But that has been embedded for centuries. And even our own people still have a little white Jesus. I ain't got no white Jesus in here. I do got this queen right here, but I have no white Jesus.
I'm gonna tell you, LaCora, I don't care what color Jesus is. I believe he was more he looked more Black in terms of American terms.
Well, the Bible tells us from the breast.
Northern Africa. So that would be like more of a Middle Eastern look. But for me, don't get caught up on the things that don't matter. Again, circling back to social injustice. What if this was your daughter? What if this was your son? What if
Right.
this was your husband? Irregardless of what their occupation was, if they had a felony back in the day, it doesn't matter. A person
Right.
should not die for no reason. That is
Girl,
wrong.
they
That is
are rude
wrong.
that
If
justified.
yeah, if no one should die for no reason. And if you believe in a savior and a Messiah, it doesn't matter what color he is. It doesn't matter what the popular color is.
Unfortunately, though, LaKesha,
Yeah,
that is what divides a lot. We could say we're Christian
yeah,
all day. We could say, like, there was a white mega pastor out of Atlanta, Guglio, and he was on the platform with Lecrae, and he said that he doesn't like the word privilege, white privilege, but God blessed these white people, like, for us to be slaves for them. And everyone was like upset with Lecrae, like, why wouldn't you check this guy? Why wouldn't you speak so strongly and aggressively uh, about this comment? Of course, the pastor apologized for it, but it's like, because of thoughts like that, it's very hard to connect with someone to say, oh, you lost your life, when I get so infuriated that you're even speaking that my God that I serve looks like you. How can I even connect, empathize, sympathize with you? You know what I mean? So a lot of times it is something so small, but because it's been embedded in us for so long, and it's like, it is something so small. Even the Bible tells us, don't make image.
and it just, we have to get back to the reason, right?
Yeah.
We have to get back to the belief. All of these other things is smoke and mirrors. It doesn't
True.
matter.
Agreed.
We have to get back to,
Yeah.
number one, the word. We have to do the inner work so that when we walk out here in the world, we can be united. We can make people feel like home. That's why when you meet believers, and I think that's why we vibe so well, when you meet people who believe the same and who have the same spirit, there's an automatic connection, right? So as a human race, right, we all have a similar spirit in that way. We're all human. We all will die. We all came from dust. We all started as babies. And then when we get older, we'll go back to a baby-like way of living and have to get help for very simple things. So we really need to start getting back to the heart of it, because all of this other stuff, it ain't gonna matter. It's not gonna matter. At the end of time, the Lord is gonna say, we're gonna sit at the judgment seat of the Lord. And I'm glad y'all are listening. We're getting super churchy today, so hopefully
I know. I'm so sorry about that. Sometimes
no, it's totally fine. But at the end of the day, when you look back at your life, if you happen to, this is not the faith that you profess to, at the end of the day, what are you going to look back at your life and say? For those who are followers of Christ, at the end of the day, the Lord is not going to say, oh, you believed in this color of me, so it doesn't, none of that matters. So we have to get to what matters, and what matters is, as a human race, doing what is right, decent, and in order. And especially as people of faith, not letting these divisive weapons of the enemy come in the way of the common call and the common purpose of who we are, which is disciples. You're not going to make any disciples any kind of where that want to deal with a group of people that can't even get along. Okay. So so much work to be done. It's just like, continue to do what you're doing using your platform. There's nothing, you guys, there's nothing too small or too big that you can do that can help and go a long way, because you don't know who you're talking to at all. You don't know who could be the next leader of this world, of the free world in the next 20 years or whatever. You just don't know. So do what you can, do your inner work at home.
Yes.
So you are out here walking on the streets, you can be like that young lady who taped George Floyd's murder. You can do the right thing. You can call the police when you see something happen. If you see a woman getting harassed on her job, you can tell the CEO. Like, do the inner work so you'll have the courage to stand for what's right when the time comes, because the time will come when you
Yeah.
have to make a stance. And that time seems like it's 2020.
Absolutely. You cannot be silent. And I think that that's the biggest problem that I've had with the church.
Yeah.
And not just from our white brothers and sisters, also
Right.
in our church, the Black communities. I want, if you don't get anything, my Christians that are non-Black or Black, like LaKesha just said, do not sit there, do something. There's going to come a time where you have to stand for something. Who do you stand for? You say you stand for God, you stand for Christ. You have to stand for what's right. So the silence must stop. It just has to stop. It really does.
Yeah.
That's the only way that we can, like you said, LaKesha, earlier, like how we need to communicate and get to the heart of the matter and try to understand each other. We can't do that if you're sitting there silent and you only want to talk about, you talk about, well, I see no color. You have to see my color. I'm Black. All right, let's talk about my experience. Let's talk about your experience, so yeah.
Right. Yes. And the day will come. We'll keep trying to go. But I'm going to make a caveat. What we are going to be seeing is your feature film, Brown Paper Bag, on Amazon. So we mentioned earlier, if you just happen to maybe catch the premiere right now, LaCora Stevens is not only a celebrity host of internet talk show, The Yes Show, she is also an actress, and she is a producer. So she's a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker, and one of her films is right now on Amazon Prime. It's Brown Paper Bag. So tell us about that journey, some of the awards that you guys have won, because you've been in some really prominent film festivals. And yeah, tell us what the film's about.
Brown Paper Bag is a period piece set in the 1940s about a Black actor trying to make it into Hollywood by any means necessary. Now, if you look at the 1940s, we know that this was the transition of blackface to bringing on Black actors. And we don't really know those stories. Like when you watch Play It Again, Sam, and you see that Black man, Dooley Wilson, on the piano, and you're just like, well, how did he get that part? What was his journey like? And that was actually the catalyst to the director, Detrick McClure, making the film. He wrote it, he directed it. I was the producer, along with two others. We had two other male producers. So I was the only female on the team. And we made it work. We won Best Feature Film. We won Best Director. We are working on getting it distributed on a major network, so fingers crossed for that. And it is a really great film that I'm proud of. It was my very first feature film because I produced a short film called Dating and Waiting. I've also produced another short called The Card. But this is my very first feature film. And of course I produced the Yes Show.
The Yes Show.
So
you have a web series too.
I have a web series, which is a form of dating and waiting. It's just, set up a little differently. But even though I have experience with the Yes Show being syndicated on Afroland TV. Oh, and good news, it just picked up for a network in the UK. So that's yes.
Awesome.
But it was so different doing a feature film because one thing about the Yes Show in a short film, the Yes Show is unscripted. I am the host of it, so I could go off the fly if I wanted to. Right. Of course, I create my schedule and all that stuff. A short film, it's done in about 4 days. You're good to go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But a feature film, Lord have mercy. And we had over 55 actors. I think we had a total of 59, something like that. We had a lot of actors to deal with. We had a lot of pickup shots. Because it was a period piece, it was a lot of research, getting old cars, finding homes with the architecture of that period, locations with the same architecture. It was just this is a lot, but I really enjoyed it. If I'm passionate about it, LaKesha, I go hard in the paint.
So same. We're the same cloth. It's the same.
Yes, so I was thrilled to be part of the film. I'm proud to be part of the film. I'm happy that Detrick gave me an opportunity to work with him on the film. He has another one, and he's like, "Can you work with me on this?" And he just wrapped the film, but I was busy trying to do my own projects because I did another show called Relationship Deep Dive during a pandemic, just to test it out to see, like, how can I produce during a pandemic? Can I
Right,
create
right.
any pandemic proof content? So I put my hat in the ring for that to see how that works. So Brown Paper Bag is a film that I think you'll like. It is about an hour and 10 minutes long. And the journey of our lead actor, his name is Rashid Stevens.
Okay.
No relation, even though we have the same exact last name, but he did a great job at the film. I
Right.
will say I am proud of it, and you guys can check it out on Amazon Prime, and you may be seeing it very soon on a major network. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed for that. Child, let me cross my whole body. Child, let me. Yeah, honey. Um,
But tie your hair up, but maybe take the ear.
okay, everything.
Major congrats, because you have, that film has gotten into major film festivals.
Yes, yes.
And I'm excited to watch it. Honestly, I haven't got a chance to watch it yet, but I have a free Saturday, so I'm gonna get to check it out. But I'm so excited and happy for you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I just think, there's no limits when you put your
Thank
mind
you
to
so
something and you work hard and you're obviously a student of your craft. There's absolutely no limits to what you can do. And
Yeah.
it is about, you touched on something really important. I think we think about in the corporate world, but not necessarily in entertainment. And we call it different things, I think, but it might be more helpful to call it networking. That's
Oh.
what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
We used to call it paying your dues, or knowing the right people and things like that. But at its base and at its core, it's networking. So to let those artists who are watching get out of your heads about, reaching out or collaborating or working across, because LaCora sounds like, we're working across, as Issa Rae, you're working across
Yes.
different
Yeah.
people.
To
You
the
like
people.
them.
Right.
Right. You work well together. Boom. Let's do this project. It did well. Let's do the next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's at its base, it's networking. So it is, being available. She didn't, turn away Dietrich when he asked her to do it and said, "No, I got my own stuff going on. I ain't got time to do your little thing." Like, no, she,
Right.
she invested her time, and she said, "You know what? This is something that I really wanted to do. Yeah, let's do this. I'll say yes. I'll say yes." And her yes is leading to another yes that she didn't have to
Yes.
get in for, right? So I am so excited for y'all. And period pieces, for those of you interested, filmmakers out there interested in doing period pieces are so difficult because, as LaCora mentioned, it has to look like
Yes.
whatever period you're in. And that there's a reason why major studios and people with, $100,000 budgets, $50,000 budgets are the only ones who were able to do that, because it is so costly to get the cars, to get the, everything outside of just the costuming of the hair and the makeup.
Yes.
It's literally you're establishing locations,
Props.
props that have to look like the 40s and the 50s and 60s. I mean, that is very, very costly. So it says so much that you guys were not only able to do that, but do it well, that I'm really excited to see it, because I don't think I've really seen any independent films who've been able to even do the period.
I've seen like 2 of them, and I can't think of their names, but they were really good. It's so many independent projects that go buried, like people don't really get a chance to get them out. I will say the positive about the pandemic, about this civil rights movement, is that Hollywood is now open to having more Black content by Black creators with Black characters. So I think that's good. And for the people out there, when LaKesha Lorene touched on networking, Robert Townsend, he lives out here. He put together like a workshop years ago at the SAG building. And I would never forget his suggestion. And he said, when you go, because I don't like to network, even though I'm a, like happy-go-lucky,
yeah.
I don't like forced networking, but Robert Townsend said one tip is to go in there and make sure that you walk out with 3 business cards or 3 contacts. Even if you just take a picture of their business card, but at least have 3. If you know that you need a writer, or a makeup person, a director, whatever you go looking for, like, hey, a producer? Yeah, there's a producer right there. You go there, hey, I'm looking for a producer. Can I have your card? Like at least 3, just 3 business cards. And so that has helped me when I go out to events. I'm like, at least 3 cards, girl. Walk away with 3 cards, because sometimes it's just like, why am I here? You know what I mean? But so that is something to consider when networking.
Oh yeah. I'm excited to see all that you're doing. And you're, like I said, you are able, if you find out, you guys, that you do happen to have not 1, not 2, but 3 talents or 4 or 5 or 6, you are able in different seasons and cycles to do them at the highest level possible. It's possible. LaCora's doing it. So many people in the entertainment
Gabrielle Union. She said she had to do that with her last film, What Mother? Yeah, with Will Packer. She and Will Packer did a film, and she talked about how wearing so many hats, just what you're saying, LaKesha, prepared her for that, because being a Black artist, a lot of times when you're in the indie world, you have to do these things. You have to be executive producer. You have to be the prop master. You have to be, the cleaning. The everything. So it's okay. Don't stress yourself out if you feel like, dang, I'm doing everything. It's okay. And make sure y'all look for grants. They're giving out so many grants right now. Put African American entertainment, African American plus entertainment plus grants. Do that in your Google, or whatever you are that's watching music, female music grants, female plus music plus grants. Put it in your Google. They have so many things out there for everyone. So make sure y'all take advantage of this time, because it's been a long time that we've seen a lot of Black content, and they've been picking up shows. So yeah.
Crazy. So what's next? What are you working on? What are some projects? Now you touched on the dating show a little before I could. So tell us about, the dating show, the premise, and where we can watch it.
So the dating show, it was a little test. I was trying to see if it's something that I wanted to do, but it's called Relationship Deep Dive, where we dissect the relationship advice from your popular online as well as professional therapists and love gurus. So from people like Derek Jackson to, what's his name? Stefan. I can't think of his name, but it's just a bunch of love gurus, self-proclaimed love gurus, as well as professional people. So there's pastors like R.C. Blakes. He's always, to me, it seems like a lot of these people are pandering to Black women. That's just me. And I feel pastor, not brother from the hood. No, like a lot of them, like one, he's married, Tony Gaskins. He's like, oh, I used to be an ex-whore, and now I'm married. So now I could tell you how not to be mixed up with a guy like how I used to be. And they think I don't know, maybe God did whisper in their ear. But I feel like, okay, no one's testing the water.
Right.
Let's talk about the advice that they're giving. Is it valid? Is it deep? Do we take this? Is it shallow? Do we go with it? Or do we just say, girl, bye, don't listen to it? You know what I mean? So that's what Relationship Deep Dive is. We take some of your popular online as well as professional love gurus and therapists, and we dissect their advice, and I actually like the idea of the show. There was one of the women who we dissected. Her name is Spirit. She has a show on the OWN network, and she actually retweeted because we dissected her advice, and she retweeted. She was like, y'all don't understand how, from a scholar standpoint, how dope this is. I was like, she called my idea dope. Oh my God. I was so excited. I'm like, child, let me try to put this in a slate and sell it. So that's actually what I've been doing. I've been trying to get all of my ideas down, LaKesha.
Yeah.
Put together a slate, put together treatment and pitch deck, whatever I need to do, and try to put it in front of some networks, some showrunners, some producers, and sell the idea. Whether I'm a part of the idea or not, whether they cut me a check, I could be cool with that, depending on the projects. So some projects that I have in mind, like I either want to host it or, but I have a lot of ideas, from travel to game shows to talk shows. I like the unscripted world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's what's next for me. Just simply trying to take over the world. Name that. You know that cartoon?
Trying to take over. Yes, I do. I do. I think I was Ren and Stimpy. That was like one of my favorites. Oh my goodness. Well, LaCora, you have your friends at Loving Life. We are fans for life. We love what you do. We love what you promote. We love what the show is about. And I really just love you as a person. I think, you guys definitely stay connected with LaCora Stevens, the host of the Yes Show, executive producer, filmmaker. Reach out to her. She's in the Los Angeles area. And go subscribe. Her content from the Yes Show that's on YouTube. It's just great to listen to. I'm a big podcast person, so I listen to interviews all the time. They're always fun. They're always informational. And it's always people that you all know, that we know and that we love. So your journey and hearing about, all the things you're doing and kind of how you came to this path, it was really interesting and really cool. Thank you for walking in your purpose and living in purpose, on purpose, because your story is going to inspire so many people out there that want to do what you're doing.
I appreciate that. I'm trying. A sister trying to walk in her yes, honey. I'm like, Lord, because it's a blessing. And a lot of times, I will say this, if I could just say something.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we get so negative and we beat ourselves up and we're like, dang, man, I gotta sit here, I gotta do this,
Right.
Steve Harvey said something and I just loved it. He was like, instead of waking up saying, dang, I got to go to work, dang, I got to go to the grocery store, say, dang, I have the opportunity. I get to go to work. I get to go to the grocery store, because some people don't have that. Like, you guys are alive, you're breathing. Don't look at everything as a negative. Like, when I got that speeding ticket, I was pissed off. I really was.
I know it.
But God turned it around. He said, we're going to make this work for your good, Cora. And the show came about. So I got a chance to get a ticket, and I got a chance to do community service hours. Just if you shift that one little word, not I have to, but I get to. Like, it's a blessing to be able to get to do certain things. And if you're unclear, because understand, I was not always clear about what it is. My major was theater, and I wanted to be an actress. My goal was to be better than Angela Bassett, honey. That was the goal. Like, I got the arms and everything, honey.
You do have the arms. Oh,
I do.
I love her.
That's why she was a little hoity-toity with me one interview. I think she was a little jealous of my guns here. I don't know, LaKesha. So I just feel like the confusion that you may or may not have, it's okay. And don't, because I told myself I'm going to be better than Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
That was my goal, to just be just as good as her, but better. You know what I mean? But when I started acting, I was like, I don't like this. I was like, God. And it's so crazy, LaKesha. I booked a gig where Shonda Rhimes was there. She used her studio, and I was the lead actress. And I sucked. I feel like I sucked. And I looked at it and I was like, God, I'm in the right building, but I'm on the wrong floor. And I had to decide, like, what is it that I need to focus on? Like, is it the producing that's going to open the door? Is it the hosting? Like, don't hold yourself hostage to your old dreams just because you told the world that I'm going to be better than Angela Bassett. So now everybody say, well, child, we're Angela Bassett. You ain't better than Angela Bassett yet. So now you're trying to hold on like, well, I did say I was going to be better. And it ain't even what fulfills you anymore.
Right.
It ain't even what you really want. Don't hold yourself hostage to the old dreams of what you told yourself and what you told others, and just be positive. Instead of saying you have to do something, I get to do this. Like, see it as a blessing, and just praise God, give him the glory.
Yes, because I mean,
yeah,
he's the
I
reason.
appreciate the opportunity, LaKesha Lorene. Thank you.
Yes, LaCora Stevens on the other side. We're on the other side of the interview chair this time. This has been so much fun.
I know.
And I'm just happy that I get to interview you. So thank you so much for being just on the show, on the podcast, on our second episode of In the Room with Loving Life. I really hope you guys got some insight and some inspiration as to how you can be in the room and whatever desires and career goals that you have for yourself in entertainment. So we will see you next time, LaCora. Thank you so much for being on.
Queen, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome, Queen. So follow her at The Yes Show on all social media, LaCora Stevens on all social media, and we'll also have where you can look links where you can look at her show right here at the bottom of this episode. So we will see you next time on In the Room with Love and Life. Bye, y'all.